Hello there, a very good morning and welcome to another edition of the Talk of the Town. Joining us this morning is a member of the Executive Committee of the National People's Power Movement, Dr. Kaushalya Ariyarathne. A very good morning, Dr. Kaushalya, and welcome to the show.
Good morning.
So, to start off, you're an executive member of the NPP and it's seen as a rising favourite, at least, at the upcoming elections. Many polls have been held and NPP is leading on a few of them. But what really strikes a lot of the general public with regard to the NPP is their massive involvement of women in politics and the massive rallies that are being organized under y'all's women's wing of the NPP. So what's so different about the women involved in the NPP and those involved in other political parties?
As we all know, throughout the history, women's engagement in politics is very low. That we have been observing, and a lot of the civil society and political movements have been talking about the women's low political participation. In 2019, when we formed the NPP, we have put it in our women's policy that we need to bring minimum of 50% women's political representation in the parliament. And then we have set up a plan which we implemented during the last couple of years to engage with women in the ground level. So that is one of the main differences than other parties. We did training to our women leaders from each district on gender, sexuality, economy and leadership. And then these women went to their electorates and then formed these women's committees and giving this knowledge to the ground level women. And that's how we formed women's committees across the country, and then these women's committees came together and formed district rallies. So when you see thousands of women in district rallies, these are the women who are being already working with NPP women's committees in the district. And the second aspect of that is that of the difference is we don't use extremist nationalist rhetorics to organize women. For example, you know that in the history they have used people's wombs as tools to mobilize women, and some women were asked to come to worship a cobra in Kaushalya temple. We don't use those kind of myths and rhetorics to mobilize women. Instead, we give knowledge, and we want the emotions and knowledge and conscious decisions of women to come into politics. That's the difference.
Well, Sri Lanka has tried to increase women representation in parliament, especially steps were taken for local government bodies where it was said legislation was introduced making it mandatory for 25% of all lists to include women. But none of these have really brought the kind of women representation that the NPP now envisages, which is 50%. Do you think it's humanly possible for us to achieve this? I believe Parliament, we're now at a rate of about 8%, if I'm not mistaken.
Something.
5. Okay, I was being generous then.
Yes, I think it's possible, but it's a long journey and it's also challenging. I'm not saying that you can do it overnight. It takes time. That's why we call it a journey where we are going now. But this is one of the main reasons for not having enough women in local government is that political parties do not bring women proactively.
But why do they not bring women?
Maybe different reasons. Maybe they think that women have no capacity to run an office, or maybe the entrenched gender disparities and the ideologies of like how women should behave and how men should behave. These can be the reasons. There will be different reasons, and it's those lot of parties. We know that there are violence against women within the parties. We have heard stories about that. Therefore, the main responsibility to bring women lies with the party. I think the party has more responsibility, and party can do that. If all the parties proactively do what we are doing, I think 50% is possible.
So, increase in representation of women, you're not just advocating it within your party only, you're advocating it across the board.
Yes, we open for everybody to come and work with us.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kaushalya Ariyarathne, Executive Committee member of the National People's Power Movement, for joining us this morning on the Talk of the Town. It's back to the morning fix on Yes 101.